This is a video I always knew I was going to do, talking about what it's like as a first-time sheep farmer or homesteader to send your lambs to the butcher to be processed. So I'm going to be talking about what that process was like and how I'm working through that. I'm also going to address a little bit about what that's like emotionally. Some people out there on YouTube might not want this video, but for me as a first-time homesteader, I have looked at videos. I've looked for videos of people who talk about what it's like. I've seen a lot about chickens and rabbits, but I have not seen one about sheep yet. So I promise not to get sappy on this video, but I do want to be real and candid about it. So if that's up your alley, continue watching the video. Okay, so let's just start talking about what brought me to this situation. Those of you who have seen videos from the High Mountain Homestead before, you know that we talk about better plants, better soil, better animals. You also know that pretty much all of my videos are outdoors. I wanted to get this video down while it was fresh in my mind. This all did happen today, and I just wanted to get it while it's fresh. I think that makes sense. And it's too dark to film outside, so I'm doing it in the basement. So I have 5 ewes and 2 rams, and I live in an 1.25 acre homestead, basically. Sheep has always been my thing, and I have always been in it for meat. And I knew that this day would come that we would have to send our first lambs to be processed. So, as mentioned before, I'm on an 1.25 acre, very small property. Probably a little bit too small for my 7 animals. I'm going to go down to 3 ewes next year, but I had one ram that was just unbelievably loud, and he was hard to work with. And because my rams were intact, I had to keep them separated, because I don't know what other animals in the same minute of their life are taking milk from their mom and trying to mount another female of their species. So that's crazy. But anyway, so they had to be separated, so that created a lot of issues. I'm just not set up for that, plus the noise. I had to seek out a butcher to process this lamb. So the downside is my rams were not quite as big as I would have wanted them to be. I think just the noise and the difficulty of having to house them in another area was too big of a problem for me. So they went to the butcher a little bit early. I wanted to wait until they were at least 6 months old. They were 5.5 months. So those 2 weeks don't make a huge difference. Better case would have been 7 or 8 months, but they were too noisy, and I just didn't have the facilities for it. So they were going to be butchered in November. It got moved up to late August. So finding somebody was really difficult. I made a dozen phone calls to different butchers, calling back butchers to see if they can squeeze me in, but it's hunting season right now in Utah. So I was really up a creek. Nobody was able to get me in less than a month, unless I was willing to butcher and eviscerate it myself and bring it in for processing, just like you would a deer kill or an elk kill. And that was something I considered for about a day. And luckily I kept making some phone calls and found somebody who was a home processor. He's got a very small operation, but he does not butcher. He does not slaughter, I should say. So I was kind of still in that same situation. I wasn't interested in it. And it was narrowed down to 2 people. One was a bigger processor and one was this guy, both of which I would have to provide a dead carcass to. However, one larger butcher, larger meaning they just do more volume, they couldn't do any bone-in cuts, which it's like lamb. Like I want the chops, I want the riblets. So that was not ideal. As good as lamb burger is, to just get a whole lamb ground up, I wanted some of that great meat, especially for my first lambs. So I did everything I could to find someone else. Luckily, I found a smaller, kind of like at-home processor. So I can't sell the meat, but only 2 lambs are going to processing, so I'm not selling them anyway. Anyway, found this guy. He partners with a local slaughterhouse butcher crew. So I today at around 2 p.m. got our lambs and put them in a horse trailer, and we drove to the butcher. My neighbor's got a trailer. He hooked me up big time, and together we drove to the slaughterhouse. And I would say getting them on the trailer was not as weird for me. I already said my goodbyes, and I thanked them for the life that they are giving for my family, and I don't think that's sappy. I think that's why we got into this. So anyway, I already kind of parted with them, so getting them on the trailer was not that emotionally straining. The drive down there was fine, and then we finally get to the slaughterhouse, and I don't know, like that's when it hit me, and it got kind of uncomfortable, because the slaughterhouse was just not, I mean, it was the guy that could squeeze me in, or rather it was the partner of the guy that could squeeze me in. So kind of a bottom of the barrel type of situation. He basically, I pulled up and I said, where do you want it? And he just said, oh, like the kill pens over there are loaded up. And for someone that's more acquainted with this world, that probably wouldn't have shaken them. But I'm not saying it shook me, but it was definitely weird. It was weird to know that, I was putting them in the kill pen. And so we backed up the trailer, we put them in, I filled out the form, said, here's my name and address and phone number. They're, blackhead dorper. That's about it. And we backed them up, we loaded them on, and then you close the gate, and then you're done. And it's just one of those surreal moments where that's it, and I'm done with those 2 lambs in terms of them living. And luckily, I drove down with some friends, and I was able to talk about it a little bit on the way back up. But my goal next year is to not use that slaughterhouse and to really plan ahead, because it just felt like a churn and burn mass slaughterhouse, and it just felt icky leaving them there, and I felt bad and a little dishonest to my animals. Like, I've given them such rich life, I think, here. I treat them really well, I feed them really well, I care for them. I give them anything they want except for use, and then to just know that their last day is here. And they're like next to a pen with like a bazillion goats in it. So I don't know. It just whatever. I don't have the meat yet. I dropped them off this morning, and so maybe that will change. I'm going to do another video when I show what the yield was from these 2 rams, but it was strange. So my advice for anybody who is wanting to get into this, who is going to butcher an animal for the first time and get it processed elsewhere, start early and really plan ahead. And if somebody recommends a facility, really trust that recommendation, because I was recommended about a half dozen facilities over this place, and by people that for years, decades even, put their sheep, their goats, their hogs, or their hunting kills like elk and deer, that have butchered there for years. Like, I would have rather have gone to a recommended place, but they were all taken. So look into, ask around, and then also just plan ahead. Plan months in advance and get to know these places really, really well. I really wish I would have done that. I hope that this video doesn't sound like a downer. It sounds like my tone and demeanor is, doom and gloom. But that's kind of the point. Like, be ready for this kind of thing. Like, I've killed chickens before, and the first time, maybe the first 2 times, I killed a rooster that we had. It was hard, and you feel queasy in the stomach, and you need to sit down or have a drink of water. But this was a different kind of feeling. I don't know. Anyway, like, if there's any advice that I would give to someone doing this for the first time, is plan ahead, get to know your recommendations, and if you think you're starting too early, I guarantee you're not starting too early to find a good processor for your sheep. This has been a longer video than I intended it to be. Thank you for sticking with me on this video. I hope it was helpful. I don't think this video is going to get a bazillion views. The real reason I made it is for gals and guys in my situation that have never done this before and have looked and have not been able to find a video like this. So for the dozen people that I hope that this finds, I really do sincerely hope it helped you out, and I would really love to hear about it. So let me know in the comments section. I love engaging with you guys in the comments. That's it. That's what I got. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. What time is it? 8:45. Only parents of young kids and triathletes yawn at 8:45.